My sister looked me dead in the eyes and said my 5-year-old daughter was an aesthetic mistake. And I smiled. I nodded, and then I made sure her wedding day became a story she'd tell people for the rest of her life, just not the way she planned. Let me take you back about 8 months before this all went down. My sister, Rachel, got engaged to her boyfriend of 3 years, Daniel. And look, Daniel is a fine guy. Quiet, kind of goes along with whatever Rachel says, but a decent human being. The engagement was beautiful, the ring was stunning, and our whole family was over the moon. Rachel had always dreamed of a big wedding. Like, she had a Pinterest board for this thing since she was probably 14 years old. Every little detail mattered to her. The flowers, the chairs, the lighting, the way the napkins were folded, and I mean every detail. Now, here's something you need to know about me. I own a catering company, a buffet service to be more specific. We do weddings, corporate events, birthday parties, you name it. I built it from nothing over about 6 years, and it's my pride and joy. When Rachel got engaged, she came to me almost immediately. "You're doing the food, right?" she said. Not a question, a statement. And of course I said yes. She was my sister. I gave her a massive family discount. We're talking roughly 40% off our regular rate. For a wedding her size, that was saving her somewhere close to $4,000. I also promised to personally oversee everything on the day, not just send my team, be there myself. We spent weeks planning the menu together. She wanted a full spread, appetizers, 3 main dishes, 2 pasta options, a salad bar, dessert table, the works. We tasted everything together. She approved every single item. It was actually one of the nicest times we'd had together as sisters in years, honestly. Everything felt good. Everything felt normal. Then came the guest list conversation. Rachel called me one evening in what I can only describe as her business voice. That voice she uses when she's already made a decision and is just informing you about it. She told me that she and Daniel had decided to have a child-free wedding. Fine, totally fine. Lots of couples do that. I have no issue with it. But then she said something that stopped me cold. She said, and I'm going to quote her as closely as I can remember, "We just feel like children are an aesthetic mistake at weddings. They cry, they run around, they ruin photos. We want everything to look perfect. And honestly, a child-free wedding photographs so much better." I asked her to clarify. Did she mean all children? Because my daughter, Sophia, was 5 years old and had been told for months she was going to be the flower girl. We had already bought her dress, a little white dress with tiny pink flowers on it. Sophia had been practicing walking slowly and dropping petals. She was obsessed with it. It was genuinely the most excited I had ever seen my daughter about anything. Rachel said yes, all children, including Sophia. I told her that was going to break Sophia's heart. Rachel said, and again I'm quoting, "She's 5, she won't even remember." I sat with that for a second, and then I told Rachel I needed to think about it and we'd talk later. Now listen, here's where a lot of people in my position would have just let it go. She's your sister. It's her wedding. You pick your battles. I get it. I understand that logic. But here's the thing that kept eating at me. It wasn't just that Sophia was uninvited. It was the reason. Not "we want an intimate adult atmosphere," not "we're worried about the noise level." It was that my child, my daughter, was an aesthetic mistake. She was being excluded because of how she looked in photographs. Sophia is a real human being, not a prop. And I'm the one who is going to show up with my entire team, my equipment, hundreds of plates of food I'd spent weeks preparing, and make this woman's dream wedding happen after she told me my kid was an aesthetic problem. I still didn't do anything yet. I want to be honest with you. I went back and forth on this for weeks. I talked to my husband about it, I talked to a close friend, I even talked to my mom, who told me to just let Rachel have her day and that I was being too sensitive. So I kept planning, I kept coordinating, I confirmed the order, I scheduled my team, everything moved forward. Then, about 2 weeks before the wedding, something happened that made my decision for me. Sophia found out she wasn't going to be the flower girl anymore. She didn't hear it from me. She heard it from my mom, who mentioned it accidentally during a family dinner.
My mom said something like, "It's too bad you can't go to Auntie Rachel's wedding." And Sophia's little face just fell apart. She looked at me and said, "Mommy, why can't I go?" I didn't know what to say. I told her that Auntie Rachel wanted a grown-up party. Sophia thought about it for a second and then asked me if she did something wrong. A 5-year-old asked me if she did something wrong. I told her no, absolutely not. She did nothing wrong. She was perfect. But the damage was done. She cried for about an hour that night, and the little white dress with the pink flowers hung in her closet unworn. I made my decision that night. I didn't cancel anything right away. I let the days pass. I showed up to the rehearsal dinner. I smiled at Rachel. I talked to Daniel. I acted completely normal because I needed everything to go smoothly right up until the moment I chose. The wedding was on a Saturday. We were set up to arrive at the venue at noon. The ceremony was at 4, and dinner service was scheduled to begin at 6:30. My team arrived on time, unloaded everything, set up the entire buffet, warming trays, serving stations, labels on every dish, the whole thing. It looked incredible, honestly. Even I have to admit it. The venue was beautiful, the setup was clean and elegant, and the food smelled amazing. The ceremony happened. It was lovely. Rachel looked gorgeous. She cried, Daniel cried. I stood in the back and watched it and genuinely felt happy for them in that moment, because even after everything, she's still my sister and I'm not a monster. Then people started moving toward the reception hall. The cocktail hour was wrapping up, guests were finding their seats, the DJ was playing soft background music. I checked my watch. 6:20, 10 minutes before service was scheduled to begin. I walked over to my team lead and I told her quietly, "We're packing everything up." She looked at me like I had just told her the building was on fire. I told her to trust me, that this was my decision and that we were leaving. Within about 7 minutes, my team is very good, by the way, we had everything loaded back into our vans. Every tray, every warming unit, every serving spoon, every label. Gone. I had already been in contact with a children's shelter about 20 minutes away, a place that housed kids who had been removed from unsafe homes, ranging in age from about 2 to 12 years old. I had called them 2 days earlier, explained the situation vaguely, and asked if they could use a full catered meal for their residents and staff that Saturday evening. They said yes before I even finished the sentence. So that's where we went. I need to tell you what happened back at the venue because I wasn't there for it, but I heard about it in great detail from multiple people over the following days. The guests sat down, the music kept playing, servers came out to fill water glasses, and then nothing. No food. The buffet tables, which had been fully set up during cocktail hour, were now completely empty. Not just empty, gone. The tables themselves had been cleared. Rachel apparently thought there was a miscommunication and asked the venue coordinator. The coordinator said it wasn't their responsibility. They just provided the space. Someone tried calling me. I didn't answer. After about 30 minutes, the reality set in. There was no food. The wedding had about 140 guests. It was 6:30 on a Saturday evening. The venue had nothing to offer except the wedding cake, which wasn't supposed to be served until later, and some leftover cocktail hour appetizers that were already mostly gone. Somebody ordered pizza. I'm not even kidding. 140 people at a formal wedding, sitting in their nice clothes, eating pizza that somebody ordered on their phone. Rachel called me 14 times that night. Meanwhile, I was at the shelter, watching a room full of kids eat a full, warm, real meal. One of the little ones, a girl who couldn't have been older than 6, told my team lead that it was the best food she'd ever had.
Now, I know what some of you were thinking. And look, I've heard every version of it. That was cruel. You ruined her wedding. You should have just skipped the wedding and let someone else do the catering. 2 wrongs don't make a right. And to be completely honest with you, yeah, part of me wonders about all of that too. I'm not standing here telling you I'm a hero. I'm not. What I did had real consequences for 140 people who had nothing to do with what Rachel said about Sophia. Those guests didn't do anything wrong. They showed up expecting a wedding dinner and got nothing. That's something I think about. But here's the other side of it. I was the one who was going to personally make this woman's most important day perfect after she looked at my child and called her an aesthetic mistake. I was the one who would have smiled and served food and cleaned up afterward and handed her a discounted invoice and gone home. And Sophia's little white dress would still be hanging in that closet. Instead, 63 kids at a shelter had the best meal they'd had in a long time. Rachel and I have talked since. It's not the same as it was, and I don't think it ever will be. She apologized, sort of. More of a, "I'm sorry you felt that way" apology than a real one. I accepted it because I don't want to carry that weight forever. But she knows. She knows what she said about Sophia, and she knows what it cost her. Sophia never found out what I did. She's 7 now. She doesn't talk about the flower girl thing anymore. But she has a new dress, not white, bright yellow, her favorite color, and she wore it to a family birthday party last spring and told everyone she looked like the sun. She does. She really does. Comment down below which city you're watching this from.